Hello, McDonald's Football Fan TV. I'm delighted to be joined by Republic of Ireland International and Millwall Football Club midfielder Shaun Williams. Shawnee, firstly, thanks so much for taking the time out to have a chat with us.
No problem, Paul. Pleasure's all mine, mate.
Well, listen, we had basically half the Ireland team on over the last kind of couple of weeks, and we've been talking about their career and kind of just basically the story behind their career and to where they are now, starting from the very, very early days of just starting kicking a ball and getting the first pair of football boots on. So, do you want to bring us up to speed from the very, very beginning right up until now? So, where did you first get into football? And what was your kind of first earliest memories of football?
Uh, yeah, it was a good while ago now, but probably like the mini leagues and that in and around your area and stuff. So I remember my dad taking me to all them, and then kind of obviously progress into a team and a club and that. And I think first club was Homefarm, probably the age of 7, 8 maybe. I think I stayed there till maybe about 12, and then I went on to Stella Maris after that for a couple of years. And I think at the time then, I think it was between maybe under 16s or whatever. There was a bit of a decision to make whether to. I don't know if Stella Maris were continuing on at the time, so I went back to Homefarm, played there for a year or whatever, and then I ended up going to Colaiste for the American scholarships after school. So that was the hopes and dreams at the time, and I think I was only maybe a month or two into it, and Drogheda asked me to come up to them. I think John Carroll was the manager of the under-21s at the time, so yeah, obviously I was like, yeah, no problem. Went up. I think I trained for a few days or whatever, and then I got offered a professional contract there. So I was more than happy just to part ways with Colaiste at the time, and just focus on playing in Ireland. So that was where obviously my first steps into professional football was with Drogheda when I was like roughly, I think I was probably late 18, 19 maybe. So yeah, that's obviously the start of that chapter really.
And what was it like then? Obviously, Drogheda 2008 or sorry, 2005, sorry, because they had a decent team in and around that time.
Yeah, you know what? I'd gone to a lot of games when I was younger with my dad down Talca Park. Watched Shells and Bowls probably were the two main teams that used to bring me to watch, and I knew a lot about the league at the time. So when I went to Drogheda, I was thinking, oh yeah, this is a big club. Like they just won the cup the year before, and I thought, oh, there'd be no better opportunity then to get involved in the club. So yeah, look, they'd won the cup the year before. They were guaranteed to play in Europe the next year. Obviously, I wasn't thinking about playing in the first team, but it was just being at a top team at the time. So
Or
yeah, it
even
was
learning off the other
yeah,
players there.
you know what I mean. They had a lot of good players, a lot of players that come back from England. Obviously, had disappointments playing away, and then they had a lot of older, experienced pros in Damien Lynch and Simon Webb. Then they had young players. Obviously, the Shamrock Rovers manager now, Stephen Bradley, Graham Gartland, Shane Robinson, Paul Keegan, and Declan O'Brien was there. He was the captain at the time. So yeah, to be able to train with them on a daily basis was a great learning curve, and yeah, definitely put me in the right steps anyway, learning from such experienced pros at the time.
Was Richie Baker there when you were there as well?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he wasn't there when I first went, but I think the season, like the season or two after that, he was there. Yeah, he was a great guy. Yeah.
He was my football manager there for the past 2 years there at Rosemount Movies. So
Is he? Yeah. To be fair, I have him on. Facebook. So it was his birthday there last week or the week before. So yeah, no, I don't keep in contact with too many of them, but still kind of friends.
Yeah, well, you spoke there obviously about the characters and stuff like that, but you went on loan twice, and I think more referencing to going over to England yourself, maybe they had kind of given you a bit of warning signs. People have been over to the UK, but we're kind of cross that later on. But it's just kind of something that popped into my head. And you went on your loan moves to Finn Harps and Dundalk. Was it hard going to Dundalk from Drogheda, considering I know it was a loan, but the fact that
Yeah,
there was obviously that
local
rivalry.
Yeah. No, I think I was at Drogheda for the first season, and I'd been on the bench and been in squads for like European games and that, and I think I played in the Setanta Cup and stuff like that the year that they won it. So I got a medal, but obviously it didn't really mean much to me because I didn't feel like I had that much of a say in the matter. But yeah, so I think from being in and around it for that year or two, I felt like I wanted to go out and experience it myself. So going to Dundalk, I didn't really have too much of a worry about it being like a local rival. So obviously, like in Ireland, there's not many people that stay at the one team, so everyone's played for every team nearly. So I wasn't too fussed about that. And at the time, there was a lot of Dublin lads as well, so I was able to travel up with them. It wasn't just local Dundalk lads that were all up the rivalry and all like that. So the manager as well, obviously John Gill was there at the time, and he was the one that obviously I feel like kicked off my career by giving me the opportunity of playing. So yeah, I'll be forever grateful towards him.
And he's still heavily involved there at Dundalk at the moment. You know, he was obviously involved with Vinnie Perth and stuff like that, part of his coaching staff, and Stephen Kenny and that.
Yeah, to be fair, I played with Vinnie when I first went, so he was like the senior pro losing his legs, and I was the young runner for him. So yeah, it was a good experience being at Dundalk as well, because obviously I hit the ground running when I first went there. I think scored in the first 4 games of the season and thought the world was my oyster. So unfortunately then I think I picked up an injury then halfway through the season. But I think I managed to get maybe 19, 20 games for Dundalk in a season. Scored 9 goals, I think it was at the time, from centre mid, which was quite good for a striker, I suppose. But yeah, it was a great learning curve, and I met some great people at Dundalk at the time, like in Anto Flood and Philly Hughes and John Flanagan, David Cawley was there. There was Aidan Lynch, Damien's brother. But yeah, no, there were some great fellas there, and to be fair, I still talk to quite a few of them as well.
So kind of from Dundalk then, going back to Drogheda, were you thinking, all right, I'm after having a good season here, I'm going to try to get it back in the team? What kind of happened there, in your own words?
Yeah, like I think I got called back I think I went on loan for the first half of the season, and then Paul Doolan called me back, and I can't remember who we were playing against. I think it might have been Pats at home, and the day before named the team, I was starting, so I thought, oh, obviously the loan move worked. And I thought, oh, happy days, like got my mum and dad up to the game, stuff like that, and got to the stadium, and obviously thinking I was starting, he named the team and I wasn't in it, so I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Do you know what I mean? So I was fuming. I was like, yeah, I want to go back on loan. You know, like obviously in the week following. So then I ended up going back on loan to Dundalk then for the rest of the season. Picked up an injury. So then that season finished. The following season, done pre-season, all that, and I thought,
just had that, like a feeling that I had between the manager. I just said, this fella's not having me at all, trying to teach me how to kick a ball properly and stuff like that. At the time, I was nearly 21 years of age, and I had this fella telling me how to kick a ball properly. So I was like, yeah, here, look, I'm out of here. Do you know what I mean? Like, where I felt appreciated at Dundalk. So at the time, then Pat Fenlon wanted me to come along at both. So I thought this is brilliant. You know what I mean? I'll get one up on him. Blah blah blah. He said no. He said, I'm not sending you along to a rival. So I thought, okay, no problem. So he was like, this is your option, Finn Harps. So I was thinking, you know what I mean? I was like, Finn Harps, 5 hours away in the car. I was thinking, right, I'll go anyway. So I went. I think I played about 15 games there. Fucking hated every single minute of it. No disrespect to Finn Harps. It was just the distance and living on my own, stuff like that. It just wasn't for me at the time. So I think there was an option in between half the season, and Paul Hegarty was the manager at the time. Absolute fantastic fella. Couldn't have done more for me. He offered me an extra few quid in my pocket to stay, and I said, no, do you know what it was? Actually, he played me on the left wing, and I said, look, I want to play centre mid. He was like, look, I think you're doing a great job for us there. I said, right, no problem. Then when I come to halfway through the season, he was like, offer me a few extra quid. He was like, look, I'll play centre mid if you stay and all. I said, look, I can't. I was like, I'm just not comfortable here. You know, it's too far away from friends, family, girlfriend. I need to go. So yeah, that's what happened. I ended up going back to Drogheda then. I think I played a couple of games then towards the end of the season. I played against Pats, Cork, couple other games, done quite well. Then the end of that season, then the club went into administration, as so many do. But so I was thinking, what am I going to do now? I don't have a job. I think I just got a new car at the start of the season, and thinking, how am I going to pay for this? And one of my best friends at the time, one of my best friends now, was playing with me at the time at Drogheda, Garrett Whelan, and he was in the same boat. We used to travel up together, and the two of us were like, what are we going to do for money? So we ended up, I think it was working for giving out newspapers on the Malahide Road in the mornings. We were doing that. We were doing little mixers here and there for my dad. Just doing that we could to get money in their pockets and just to pay the bills. So then I think that was at the time where we were kind of grafting. Loam Buckley got in contact with us about coming to Sporting Fingal, and he was like selling me the dream at the time.
That's what many do.
I don't know if you spoke to him, but yeah, he could sell snow to the, you know what I mean? But yeah, everything sounded great. The plan, the project, I think he called it, was fantastic. And I said, look, I've got a great left side centre half, Garrett Whelan. Can he come along as well? So the two of us went down there. But yeah, no, look, that was the start of that project anyway.
It sounds eventful. So how was your time at Sporting Fingal then in terms of playing wise?
Yeah, it was good.
So you've got 40. If you're going by Wikipedia, you've got 45 appearances and 13 goals, which isn't a bad return for a midfielder.
Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, no, I think it might be a bit more, like, to be fair, because how many games is there in a season in Ireland? 36.
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
we were there for 2 years anyway. But yeah, when I first went, obviously the club had only been formed the year before, and the year before, I think they were just kind of gave everyone kind of 1 year contracts just to kind of get the club going. So the year when I was going, then they ended up bringing in people on 2-year contracts that they kind of seen as a bit more of the future, where we had myself, Ronan Finn, Shane McFall, Conan Byrne, and I think there was a couple left from the previous year, and Robbie Doyle and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I think the group of players that we had there, they were all young, hungry, wanting to prove themselves, and Liam definitely gave us the platform to do that.
What's Liam like as a manager? I think, because I've met him a lot of times. He seems like a great fella.
Yeah, he was a great fella. Yeah. Obviously, I don't know what he's like now because I haven't played for him in 10 years. But back then, yeah, he was. I think he just filled you with confidence. He just kind of gave you the stage to go and perform, and let you. He kind of trusted all of us to perform as well as we could, and obviously it paid off for him with the players that he did sign. Yeah,
because you mentioned there, obviously, like people like Ronan Finn and stuff like that, who's gone on to have a great career in the League of Ireland. So did you just know, looking around the team, and obviously you'd been training with Drogheda, so you'd have a fair idea of kind of top players within the league and stuff like that. Were you looking around going, oh, we have a decent team here?
Yeah, that was it. I think definitely, because the season I went there in the first division, and like Shane McFall, Ronan, and that, I played a lot of games for UCD at the time. I know Ronan actually joined us the following year, but I think it was the following year. Yeah, I think he might have joined us the following year, but yeah, no, I definitely thought that was the reason I wanted to go there as well. You know, the players. Obviously, I want, like, when I first met him, I asked him, "What players have you got?" You know what I mean? Like, I'm not coming there if everyone's going to be shy, like, you know. So I didn't want to end up in a relegation battle, but yeah, no, looking around, I kind of had a good feeling about the place. You know, that way that there was good camaraderie in the dressing room, and the style that he wanted to play as well suited with the players that were there.
And so, kind of in and around that time, you obviously earned your move then to the UK. But what was your thoughts? Kind of, were you skeptical about going over, or were you excited?
I think in the second season of Fingal, the previous year, we won promotion and won the FAI Cup, and I had no thoughts about going to England, because the second season there we were playing in Europe. I think we finished 4th in the league, and it was looking on the up. You know, that way we brought in better players than we'd had the previous year, more suited to the Premier Division, and what was it? Yeah, so like, I think come pre-season then, in my 3rd year there, I think we all rocked up one day anyway. I think we'd be training a few days, and Liam pulled a meeting to say that Jerry Gannon, the man that funded the club, was going into administration, or he was going into NAMA at the time, and the club was going to be one of his assets. So basically, the club was going into administration. So that was the same again, out of a job. I know me and Ronan Finn at the time, we went to where did we go? We went to Celtic on trial for a week. Then I think we went to Wolves straight after there, and I didn't really have a good time of it there. Like, I ended up, Ronan, I think, picked up a knock, and I'd lost my head with the manager at the time. I ended up kind of warming up a fucking goalkeeper or something at one stage. So I ended up like sacking it off. I said, "Look, I'm done." Like, Finner, I said, "Here, look, if he comes up for me, tell him I'm off." Like, I was back at the hotel. Finner was ringing me, going, "Here, look, he's looking for you." Like, and I said, "Oh, look, tell him I'm fucking gone. I'm not coming back." Like, do you know what I mean? So that was the other thing, and that was Mick McCarthy at the time. So it's probably why I didn't get called up last campaign. But yeah, so then I think at the time then I was training with Shamrock Rovers. Michael O'Neill was the manager there. I was keeping myself fit, and he was like, "Look, I want you to sign for us." And I said, "Look, give me a few days, and I'll let you know." And Graham Barrett was my agent then, and he gave me a call and said, "Look, I'd had an offer from Celtic to go there on a 3.5-year deal just before Fingal folded." I think it was literally about 5 days before they folded. I think they offered between 125, 150 grand, and the first half of the 3.5 years I was to go on loan at MK Dons. So I thought, oh, happy days, like this is it, like, do you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I'm all over it. Like, I think they rejected it, and 5 days later, then the club went into administration. So I was thinking, what's going on here now? Like, you know, I think it was February the 7th, so it was just after the transfer window in Scotland. So I was a free agent, but I couldn't play for another team until the following season because it was after the window. So Celtic came back in, offered me the same contract, nothing to do with the money they were going to pay for me. I said no. Look, if I'm going to be leaving home, I want it to be decent enough. Do you know what I mean? So they came back with a second offer, had a bit of the fee they were going to pay for me in it, and I said, look, do you know what? Doesn't feel right. So rejected it, and Graham Barrett got on to MK Dons, and they said, yeah, look, we'll sign him straight away. So I signed there for. It was a bit of a gamble, to be fair. I signed there for a year, and I think after a month I signed a new 2-year deal. So the gamble paid off, and I'm happy that I made that decision.
Yeah, well, it kind of it's pretty much major at this point.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, like I think if I had went to Scotland, Celtic obviously a massive club. I was going over there as a centre midfielder, where I think they'd only had in that formation they played, there was 2 positions up for grabs, and they probably had about 6 players, like, you know, for them 2 positions. So I thought I didn't think I'd probably get as much opportunities as I probably would have wanted.
And you said there you went to MK Dons. Who was the manager there? And was it the manager that was the one who got you there, or was that, I suppose, the person?
Yeah, it was
kind of made you want to go there.
Yeah, it was. Carl Robinson was there. He was the manager. The fitness coach that was there is Damien Doyle, Irish guy, who I have a really good relationship with now. Went to his wedding and that, and I'm good friends with his brothers. So that was a massive factor in it. Stephen Gleeson was there at the time, who I'd known from before. Yeah, there was. I think at the time I was probably fed up with just not knowing what I was going to be doing, and kind of jumped at the opportunity more than thought about it. Like,
yeah, well, kind of at that point, you obviously were just looking to get a decent move for yourself, to just play first team football with, I suppose, security behind you, because you've spoken there about clubs just folding, and you're left there thinking, going, just when I'm getting a bit going, something's stopping me again.
Yeah, that was it. Like, it was hard because if Fingal never folded, I probably would have stayed there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, unless someone came in with something ridiculous, but yeah, I loved it there, and it's just unfortunate what happened to them.
Yeah, well, talk me through kind of your time at the MK Dons then, and you must have enjoyed it. Again, I'm looking here, 108 appearances, 19 goals.
Yeah, I loved it there. It was great. Like, stadium was massive, and nothing compares to it in Ireland, obviously in the league. And yeah, like the style of football that they played definitely suited me, and I ended up actually playing centre half there for the vast majority of the time, because when I first went, obviously I was there to play centre midfield, and in pre-season, two of the centre halves got injured, so there was only one fit one left. And I remember I'd played, I think, 2 or 3 games for Fingal centre half, and the manager must have obviously knew about it, but asked me would I be comfortable playing there. And I ended up starting the season there at centre half, played the whole season centre half, and we finished in the playoffs, beaten unfortunately in the semis by Huddersfield, I think it was. And yeah, so I ended up becoming a centre half there, and that was the reason why I ended up leaving.
Okay, because you were just continuously being played, I suppose, out of position. Did you find that hard? Because it sounds like, you know, throughout your career, you were constantly kind of, don't take this the wrong way, but kind of shoehorned into different positions rather than your natural, as you would say, your natural position and best position would be centre mid.
Possibly, yeah. But to be fair, at MK, I never had a problem with it, because I just wanted to be playing as many games as I could, because I wanted to establish myself in England. And I think the first season that I played there, I played like 46, 48 games. So yeah, I was happy playing there. It suited me with the way that we played. It was literally total football, get it off the goalkeeper, and it gave me so much time on the ball. It definitely suited me to play there. That ended up the following season. Then I ended up, I think, I played a ridiculous amount of games. Got Player of the Year then the second season. I think it was Player of the Year and Club Player of the Year. And then the third season, started off centre half, and I felt that I wasn't being utilised the way I thought I should have been. I wanted to play centre mid, didn't obviously get that opportunity. So the reason I went to Millwall was because they gave me the opportunity to play centre mid again.
And did you know that going there, or you, because you know the way you spoke earlier about Loam Buckley selling you a dream, was the manager at MK Dons at the time telling you, oh no, if you stay here we'll play a centre mid type of thing, just to hang on to you, or was he alright to let you go?
He was alright to let me go. Well, there was a bit of, not argument, but there was words had. I think there were only like 6 months left on my contract. So I would have left at the end of the season for free. So I think they ended up selling me for $250, but they'd accepted 2 bids, one from Millwall and one from Brighton. So it was my decision in the end.
So what was the reason behind joining Millwall then? I could see you smirking away there.
Yeah. So there was Ian Holloway was the manager at the time. His chief scout was Mick Harford, who is chief scout at Luton now, I think. But Mick was the assistant to Carl Robinson at MK Dons.
Okay. Yeah.
So I spoke to Ian Holloway on the phone, and he said, "Look, I want to build the team around you. I want you to be my central midfielder." Told me the way he wanted to play, stuff like that. So I was smiling ear to ear, you know that way. I'd had a phone call then from Brighton manager, who was Garcia at the time, and his assistant was Neil Jones, who was the Stoke manager recently, I think just before. So I think it's Oscar Garcia or something. I don't know really. I can't remember his name, but he couldn't speak English. So I spoke to Neil Jones, and the two of them were on loudspeaker, and Neil Jones was saying to me, look, you'll never get an opportunity like this to play at such a big team again. They wanted me there as like 4th choice centre half behind like Matt Upson and stuff like that. So I was thinking, who's this fella telling me I'm never going to play for a big team? Do you know that way? So figures aside, I ended up choosing Millwall due to the approach from Neil Jones.
But you said there about Ian Holloway. Did you say he was the manager of Millwall?
Yeah, I ended up being his first signing here.
But, you know, that must have been a massive compliment to you. So he's one fella telling you're not good enough, but there's a manager there who, you know, everybody knows Ian Holloway. I mean, and you know,
character, like, you know, it was a big factor of why I chose Millwall as well at the time, was because of the manager.
Yeah, and he had done well with Blackpool.
Yeah, Blackpool, Palace as well, got down for it as well.
Yeah, but I remember him having that really good season with Blackpool. I know ultimately they got relegated, but the way they came up, they really made an impression. You know, everyone knew about them throughout the course of that season, and obviously with Palace then as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he was a massive factor. I think it was him. I think I wanted to experience what it was like to play for a proper club. No disrespect to MK Dons. Millwall's a proper football club. I think the passion and the heart through the fans is the main aspect of the club. They're definitely number one, and the team's number two.
Yeah, well, just in regards, you've been at Millwall since what, 2014, so 6 years.
Yeah.
Your longest, I think that's your longest spell at the club.
Oh yeah, yeah, by far. Yeah, it's definitely, it's my home here now. Yeah, we've like had 2 kids since we've been here, and they're Millwall mad now. So yeah, no, it's been an amazing journey.
Well, talk me through kind of a couple of seasons with Millwall up until now, and just kind of how much you've enjoyed it, because as you said there, you've made it your home now, and you just seem to really be enjoying your football and just enjoy it. You just seem content.
Yeah, I think when I first came, we were down there struggling. I think we had 17 games left when I came, and we ended up staying up on the last day, which we didn't need to win anyway, but because of results. So I think we stayed up by like 4 points. But yeah, it was mad. It was crazy. Then the second season, we started off on fire in the playoffs for ages. I think things kind of turned a little bit south towards the manager. Results kind of faded away. He ended up getting the sack. Neil Harris took over, who was the manager of the 23s. I think for the last 10 games, and brought a bit of life back into the team. He brought a couple of the younger lads into the team that he'd worked with at the 23s. And they kind of gave the club something to kind of cheer about. And I picked up an injury. I think there was 4 games left. I tried to run to keep a ball onto the pitch, stopped it, and continued onto the tarmac and slid into the wall. So my feet went like that, and I ended up like shattering under my heel. So yeah, I missed the last 4 games. We ended up getting relegated to League One. Second season then, or the third season then, first day back running was the first day pre-season. So you can imagine how that went, blowing. But we had a good season. The manager done fantastic. I think started off a bit slow. Obviously, he was new to it. We were new to him. But
who was the manager at this point, Shaun?
It was Neil Harris.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you said that. Right?
Yeah. So hit a good run of form after Christmas and ended up finishing the playoffs. I ended up getting sent off 2 games before the playoffs. Had a 3-game ban, so missed the first playoff game, didn't play in the second leg, and we won both of them to get to the final, and didn't start in the final. And we lost 3-1 to Barnsley, so that was disappointing. I think obviously the heartache made us stronger, because my 4th season then we finished in the playoffs. I think we had an unbelievable cup run, got to the quarter final to be absolutely hammered by Tottenham in my Hart Lane, 6-0. But we were on a 17-game unbeaten run, finished in the playoffs and won the final in Wembley. So yeah, it's been roller coaster. Then first season back in the champ, we finished 8th, which was unbelievable. Last season then we struggled. We were down there for a good bit. Stayed up. I think we lost our way to safety because there was 3 worse teams. But then this season, Neil was still in charge. I think we had up and down results. He was obviously under a bit of pressure from the fans, and the man that he was, he stepped aside to let someone else take it on a bit further. And Gary Rowett is now the manager and doing an unbelievable job with the same group of players.
I think he's had a very good reputation, Gary Rowett, as a manager anyway, didn't he? At Birmingham, I think.
Yeah, he did. Stephen Gleeson was at Birmingham with him, and can't speak highly enough of him. And obviously done the same at Burton, I think it was, just before Birmingham, and got them into the championship. But I can see why he's solely highly regarded in football. Definitely.
Yeah, well, you have there's a real Irish connection there at Millwall at the moment. You've got yourself, Alex Pearce, Aidan O'Brien, Jason Malumbi. Am I missing anyone there?
Danny McNamara, he's a young lad.
Oh yeah,
he's got the 21.
Fullback.
Yeah. He's Irish descent.
We won't go into the politics of that, but what was it like your debut, the call up, and stuff like that? Because were you thinking at any point that it wasn't going to happen?
I think in the March of that year, there was a friendly in Turkey, and we were flying at the time. We were on a great run. I think we were nearly up into the playoffs and championship. I was thinking, surely I'd scored a few goals. I was thinking, surely I have to get a call up for this one. And I didn't, so I was livid, like, you know what I mean? And I was, no disrespect to anyone that was in, I was thinking, I'm playing much better than them, do you know what I mean? So, not by choice, I'd done an interview around the time after it, and I'd said, I don't know what I have to do to get into the squad. It seemed like it's harder to get in than it is to get out. And obviously somebody showed Martin that at the time, so he come back with an interview of his own, and he said, in relation to my comments, he said, well, play well for a first. So I was thinking, playing a lot better than what you have in your team, like. So then come the summer, then we went to Spain the day after the season. We played, I think our last game was Aston Villa, and we won, and I scored. I think we only won 1-0, but so I finished the season on a high. Went away with my missus and kids and left football behind, and we were in playground at the time with the 2 boys, and obviously he was just wearing swimming shorts, no phone, no nothing. Mrs. went over to the baby bag and her phone, and there was like loads of missed calls from her mum and dad and stuff like that, and she says, "Oh, your mum and dad are ringing it 5 or 6 times," like, and I was like, "Well, ring them back. There's obviously something wrong." Like,
yeah, so, you're panicking at this point, yeah.
Yeah, like as anyone would, but so she rang them back, and they were all like, "Ah, congratulations and all," and Sinead was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "Oh, I seen Shaun got called up to the Irish team and stuff like that," and we were like, "What?" So I like grabbed my phone and I was thinking, "What's going on here?" And it was literally like text galore, and I was thinking, "What's going on here?" Like, so I ended up, the first person I rang was the secretary at the club, because I'd known from obviously most of the lads get called up, and she'd give them a letter to say that they're in the squads and stuff like that. And I said, "Here, Karen, what's going on? Like, have you heard that?" And she hadn't at the time. So she was like, "No, I'll find out for you." So I didn't say anything to anyone until I'd found out the actual, like, formal source, as you'd say. Like, so yeah, like that's how I found out that I got called up the first time, which was mad. So obviously, yeah, that was it. But there was 2 games then. There was 3 games actually. Sorry, there was what's his name? Scott Brown's testimonial against Celtic was the first one, and I was like, yeah, grand, went, played, loved it, and I was thinking, "Oh, do you get a cap for that?" You know what I mean? Like, I knew that there was going to be another squad announced for France and USA. I got told, "Oh no, like, you don't get a cap for that." Like, and I was thinking, "Oh fuck!" Like, so me and my missus were actually getting married in between the France and the America game. So she was like, "Oh look, you're gonna have to tell him. Like, what if he calls you up and that?" And I was like, "I'm not telling him. I want to find out if I get into the squad first before I tell him. Like, just because I'd never have known if I had told him, like." Yeah. So right then, they announced a squad for France and the USA. France was away, and the USA game was in the Aviva. And I got called up, and I was buzzing, and then I was thinking, "Oh shit, what am I gonna do?" Like, because the dates were, I think the first game was like the 28th. We were getting married on the 31st, and then the next game was on like the 4th. So I was thinking, right, I'll ring him and I'll ask him, like, can I have a few days off in between to get married and then come back? So I was thinking, grand, right. Built up the courage anyway, rang him, straight to voicemail. I was thinking, oh no. I had to leave him a message, and literally rang me back. Obviously, he must not have my number, so he rang me back straight away. So I was like, "Hey, Martin." I was like, "How's it going?" It's Shaun Williams. I was like, "Oh, how's it going?" Blah blah blah. So I was like, "Oh, look, thanks for calling me up for the next squad. I've got a bit of news for you, like." So I said, "Oh, look, I'm getting married in between the 2 games." He was like, "Oh, geez, I didn't even know. Congratulations and all." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." So he's on the phone, and he's like, "Right, well, do you know what we'll do? We'll just leave it for this time." And I was like looking at the phone. I was like, "What?" I was like, "What do you mean leave it?" And he was like, "Oh, look, we'll just get you in, call you up in September then as well." And I was thinking, I was like, no. I was like, "Look, I'm available for the games, like, you know what I mean?" I was like, "Look, I can come to the first game, I'll get married, and then I'll come back." And he was like, he goes, like, pauses for a couple of seconds. I'm thinking, oh no, what's going on here? So he goes, "Right, do you know what? You come to France with us, and then you can have the USA game off. How does that sound?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's fantastic." I was like, "Thank God." So yeah, that's that story anyway.
That's really good though, because you mentioned there about in a previous press conference or something, you'd mentioned, you know, about playing well or whatever. So obviously that kind of, you know, settled the dust, I suppose.
Yeah, it must have. Probably should have done it a few years earlier, like, you know what I mean? I made my debut when I was 31, and I remember we obviously, because we were getting married, we'd no plan around football. We were literally just getting married. Didn't think we'd get called up. I'd get called up, and we were going to Spain, or we were getting married in Spain. So, the day before I was meeting up with Ireland, we were actually going to Spain. So what I had to do was fly with my missus and the kids to Spain, and I literally got a car, dropped down to the place we were staying, went back to the airport and flew back to Ireland because I was meeting up the next morning. So they were all in Spain. I was meeting up with the Ireland team. All my family, all her family, all went to Spain. So I was thinking, right, I want them to experience it as well. So I ended up bringing my missus, my dad, her dad, my sister, and my best mate, who were all in Spain, to France. So I brought them. They flew up the morning of the game, so they flew up, and because I was leaving after it, I'd asked, could I leave from France instead of having to fly back to Ireland and then make my way. So I ended up going to the game. I remember it was absolutely lashing rain, and there was no sign of me getting on. So I literally warmed up for the whole second half. He brought on David Myler and Harry Arthur, and I was thinking similar kind of position. I was thinking I'm never getting on here. Do you know what I mean? So I literally stood out in the worst rain I've ever stood out in for half an hour just to kind of catch his eye, and luckily enough it did, and got on for the last 15 or so minutes.
And what was it like? Because you're coming on there against the world champions at that point, and I think if I remember correctly, around that time, all the hype was around kind of Graham Burke, and it was around Declan Rice. Unfortunately, I think he was man of the match that game for us somehow. But what was it like? Because you come out a little bit under the radar there because of all this going on. Like,
yeah, do you know what? I'm normally like really critical of myself and my own game, and I'd never think back to anything good that I did in a game. But for those 15 minutes I played, I didn't have a care in the world, and I played so well. Like, got the ball quite a lot, nearly scored, which I learned from against Wales. But I remember I played like left side of a three in midfield, and Graham Burke was playing left side up front. So the two of us come on roughly around the same time. And during when we were both on, I said, look, Graham, I was like, whatever you do, just keep the ball this side, you know what I mean? Because we want to show what we can do. So what we done, not a lot, but we kept the ball as much as possible over our side, and it made it, because obviously he's a quite technical player as well. So it made us feel our way into the game a little bit better, and it was an incredible experience. You know what I mean? It was amazing, and then to be able to share it with my family, and then to be able to leave from the stadium. We literally walked across to the pub across the road, or there was a hotel, and so there was I think the Irish commentary team, the RT lads like Jim Beglin and stuff like that, they were all in there, and we were staying back near the hotel, but we were up the whole night. Do you know what I mean? Like celebrating. So. Well,
it was the end of the season, and you were about to get married a couple of days later, so we're not.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I just thought, look, if I never get a call up again, at least I've had the opportunity, and I'll be able to get a cap for the appearance. So I tell you, we celebrated it anyway.
No harm in it. So the wedding went really well then, and then well, obviously there because you're still married. But kind of moving on from there into the next season, then, because that's when the Nations League happened. I'm trying to think of what way they kind of panned out. So the friendlies against Poland, which you played in and you started in, but I think that was after a couple of games, was it?
Yeah, I think that was in the same trip as the Wales one.
Okay, because
I think we played Wales, and in the same trip, I think we stayed in Wales for a few days afterwards. Obviously, went there a few days before, stayed there a few days after, and went straight to Poland from there. I think that was roughly. I think them two. I think were in the same trip.
Yeah, well, with the Wales games, I was obviously at that game, and I think that was Jonathan Walter's last game for Ireland, the last game he played anyway before he retired. So there was a lot. I suppose on that night, the only kind of bright spark or the only bit of positivity out of the game was your goal. But what was it like? Because I know, and I can tell from talking to you, like it obviously means a lot for you to play for your country, and you obviously hold a little bit of regret that you didn't get to play till you were 31, and I totally understand that.
Yeah, I know. Look, it was incredible. I remember, obviously, it was a terrible game and performance and result wise for the team, and coming on just after the fourth goal was like, oh, here we go. Like, is it going to continue, or am I going to be able to help in some way? And my role going onto the pitch from instruction was to sit and protect, kind of keep the score down. Maybe, I don't know, but it was more of obviously a defensive minded decision to bring me on, and I ended up finding myself in the box, and but I think I don't know how.
It's a lovely finish.
I don't even know how I ended up there. I think they were keeping the ball so well. Kind of got a bit frustrated at the time. Kind of moved out of shape a little bit, and luckily enough, nicked it off one of their players, and the finish was lovely. Obviously, I'd had a similar enough chance against France and scuffed it at the goalkeeper. So I thought, right, if I ever get that opportunity again, I'm just going to dink it over him because it works, and it did. So I wheeled away celebrating like I'd scored in the World Cup final, but to me it was.
Yeah, but you go back to what you said, it could be the last time you ever played, and why wouldn't you celebrate it? Like, anyone would understand why you celebrate it.
Yeah.
Except for Wales fans.
Yeah, I know, yeah. It doesn't bother me if anyone has a problem with it, you know what I mean? It's been my dream to play and for Ireland, and to get the opportunity to do it was amazing. To score was definitely an added bonus, and I was going to make the most of it.
Yeah, well, you got your opportunity then against Poland, and for me in that game, and I know John Egan played that game as well. You had Aidan O'Brien played that game as well. But I thought yourself and John Egan worked quite well. You know, keeping the ball. I think you had a lot of taking the ball out from the back. You would be the first person to receive it. I thought you were doing quite well to get the ball and on the turn, and then bring other players into play. And I thought at that point, with the way we were playing with such a lack of confidence, that our midfielders weren't doing that. It seemed like they were afraid to turn with the ball, but you seem to have that confidence. And I know a lot of people at the time were talking about it, and I'm very impressed by you in that game.
Yeah, I think I know that we played 3-5-2 in that game, and obviously it was a free hit, being a friendly, and coming off such a heavy defeat the game before. He changed the team quite a lot. So I think the people that stepped into the team weren't kind of bogged down from the result before, so they still kind of had the confidence, and obviously they wanted to prove that they could play at that level. And John Egan, as you said, who's now a shining light in the Premier League, it gave them the opportunity to perform the way they wanted to, and not under such strict instructions. They were able to play their own kind of game and build from the back, and use the players, the kind of technical players higher up the pitch. I think we had Aidan up front with Callum Robinson, who bounced off each other really well, and I think it was myself, Jeff Hendrick, and Callum O'Dowd that played in the middle. And I thought, to be fair, when Callum played against Wales, I thought, look, I don't think he's ever going to play for Ireland again. Then when he played against Poland, I thought, this fella's going to play every week for Ireland. Like, do you know that way? It was, it was just that one. It was just one bad game against Wales, and I don't think it definitely doesn't replicate the way that some of the players are. That they're a lot better than that result at the time, and obviously they've showed it in the last couple of games.
Yeah, well, have you been called up since then, since the Poland game?
I'd only received a provisional call up for a mixed first game, and that was it.
Okay, and you mentioned that earlier on. I don't really want to go into the whole thing if it was a negative experience or whatever, but you went on to speak about obviously Wolves, and you didn't seem to like what he was doing in training or whatever, and kind of went off about your business. So is that something that you see then was the reason that kind of, how would I put it, you weren't getting called up?
No, last season, like we were struggling a lot last season, and I think on performance and everything else, I don't think I merited a place in the team. So I've no qualms about it. Like.
Okay, well, there's obviously a new manager coming in, Stephen Kenny. I imagine your paths would have crossed at some point throughout your career.
Yes, I made my debut against his Derry City team. Do you believe? But I think in the League Cup. But yeah, I would have played against teams he'd managed in the past when I played in Ireland.
Okay, well, there's obviously hope then. He would have seen you playing. He might know a bit more about your game. So there is hope that when football does kind of come back, and if you're still playing well or whatever, that you might get a chance. And I think everybody is thinking that, this is a fresh start. It could be a different style of play of football for the national team,
Yeah, 100%. I think it's the same at club level as well. The players that started the last game that we had aren't necessarily going to start the next one we had, because there's going to be such a gap in between it. And I think it's all about kind of proving yourself, and if I can do that at club level, hopefully it'll replicate at international level with the Ireland team as well.
Yeah, well, I've seen some articles where you've came out and you've said like you're not giving up on Ireland. You still you still want to make sure that you're in there or in the squad. You mean? So I think if someone like Wes Houlihan would be a bit of motivation for yourself, considering he came in so late.
Yeah, like I'd never retire until I retired from football completely. I'll always definitely be available, and I'm not kind of trying to push myself into the team. I'm just, if I play well, hopefully it gets recognised, and that's all to it, really.
Yeah, well, recently you signed a contract with Millwall, so you must really be enjoying their time there. The new manager came in, Gary Rowett. You've got that Irish contingent there, so life seems to be going very good for you.
Yeah, on the football side of things, yeah, it's fantastic. I'd love to be able to finish my career here, but I feel like I could play for as long as possible, and if that was to come back home and play, that'd definitely be an option. But at Millwall, yeah, it's my home here now, and I love every minute of it. I love going to train, and I love going to the games, and I love going to the away games when I'm not even playing. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, well, when I actually put up on our socials that you were coming on the show, the first person that messaged me was Jason Malumbi, and he just couldn't say enough good things about you. He's just said from the moment he's walked in the door, you've been amazing to him. You're such a top man. What's your relationship like with him? Because I can tell that you're quite close, and from the way he spoke about you, he just cannot speak highly of you.
Yeah,
more highly. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, we're really good friends, and I'm I'm sure that we'd probably be friends for forever. But no, he's a fantastic lad. Obviously, being Irish is a big bonus, but when he came in, quite daunting. Obviously, it's his first kind of men's football to be introduced to. Obviously, he was in and around at Brighton, but here he's kind of out to make his own way. And I'd kind of had the same when I went to Dundalk, and Vinnie Perth kind of done that for me as well. So, he's a great lad, and he's easy to look after, that way. So, yeah.
Just in regards with playing with him, obviously in midfield, that's obviously another option. Maybe Stephen Kenny, who we obviously knows Jace quite well, could look at as well, maybe in the future.
Jason will definitely play for Ireland anyway, regardless of it being Stephen or what. But it'll be sooner rather than later, I can imagine. And I think the thing that you noticed the most about him was each game that he plays, you can see him improving every week, if you get me. But I think the kind of lad he is, he's always willing to listen and learn, and take things on board and learn new things. So he's got an amazing career ahead of him.
Yeah, well, it's obviously nice that someone like yourself is taking the time out to make him feel welcome. As you said, it can be a daunting, especially at men's football. I know he was in with Brighton and stuff like that, but he had a bad injury and he was coming back in then. So it was obviously very nice of you to put the arm around the shoulder, and bring him in. And then now look at him since he's got in, under 21 captain, and flying at Millwall. And you were flying as well, like.
Yeah, no, it's good times, mate. He's having a fantastic season. So hopefully they don't void it, and then it'll all mean nothing, and he'll never have played a game for Millwall. But no.
I never actually thought about it that way.
Yeah, but no, he's a cracking lad, and I can't speak highly enough of him.
Yeah, well, it seems to be a very mutual thing then between you. But listen, Shaun, I've kept you an hour, 15, maybe longer, because we had Wi-Fi problems before this. But I've enjoyed every single second of it. I just want to say a huge thanks for coming on the show.
Not a problem. I've really enjoyed it, and thanks a million, buddy.
Well, guys, if you enjoyed this interview or podcast, whatever you want to call it, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to follow Shaun there on Twitter. You can see his social media handle underneath his head there, I suppose you could call it, or his frame. But yeah, go give him a follow on Twitter and keep up to date with what he's doing, and make sure to keep an eye on him now when football starts back up. Shaun, you stay safe, and God bless. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks a million, pal. Really enjoyed it.